Want to learn an hour of fun facts? Subscribe to Zarpado English. We are starting now. Lake Natron in Tanzania is known for its blood-red waters and its ability to calcify animals that die in it. The water is highly alkaline, with a pH above 10 and rich in salts, making it deadly for most animals. In the city of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada, it is illegal for a tree to climb to the top of a telephone pole or for a person to do so. The original statute was so ambiguous that it was interpreted literally, so if you see a tree ambitiously climbing a pole, call the authorities. The legal joke is that you cannot use the telephone pole as a means of support for climbing. Antarctic ice, thousands of years old, has become a highly sought-after gourmet ingredient for luxury beverage producers in Japan. It is used to chill whiskey and other spirits, not only for its pristine purity, but also because, as it melts, it produces a distinctive crackling sound as the ancient air bubbles burst, adding a unique sensory experience. Tuna toss is a sport held in Port Lincoln, Australia, where athletes compete to throw a 22-pound dead tuna as far as possible. The annual event requires a combination of brute strength and twisting technique to prevent the fish from slipping out of their hands, making it a spectacle that definitely evokes the sea. The rock band Queen holds the distinction of having an album spend more time on the UK charts than any other artist. Their compilation, Queen's Greatest Hits, released in 1981, has spent an astonishing 1,000 weeks, or nearly 20 years, on the UK albums chart, demonstrating the timelessness of their music. The painter Salvador Dalí had an unusual pet, a domesticated ocelot named Babu. Dalí was known for taking Babu for walks in public, even to upscale restaurants in New York. In one anecdote, when Babu scratched furniture, Dalí told the restaurant owner that Babu was an ordinary house cat painted with an opal pattern, an excuse as surreal as his art. On February 14, although known as Valentine's Day, Bulgaria celebrates Trifon Zarazan Day, or Vineyard Pruners Day. This day honors Saint Tryphon, the patron saint of wine growers, and is celebrated with rituals that include the symbolic pruning of vines, ensuring a bountiful harvest. It is a lovely excuse to celebrate with wine. The oldest professional football team still in existence is Sheffield FC from England, founded in 1857. The club is recognized by FIFA and the English Football Association as the oldest football club in the world and played a crucial role in codifying the modern rules of the sport. Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador is the point on Earth farthest from the Earth's center. Although Mount Everest is the highest point above sea level, Chimborazo wins due to the Earth not being a perfectly spherical shape. It is an oblate spheroid that bulges at the equator. In 1893, New Zealand became the first country in the world to grant women the right to vote, leading the international suffrage movement unexpectedly early. This achievement came after years of intense campaigning by suffragettes, notably Kate Shepherd. If the Earth were the size of an apple, the atmosphere surrounding it would be thinner than the skin of that fruit. This puts the delicacy and fragility of our atmosphere into perspective. Despite its thinness, this atmospheric layer is essential, as it contains the oxygen we breathe, protects us from harmful solar radiation, and maintains a habitable temperature, demonstrating its incredible efficiency. The Falkland Islands are home to 5 different species of penguins: king, gentoo, macaroni, rockhopper, and Magellanic, far outnumbering the human population. The penguins, the island's true demographic superstars, attract thousands of tourists annually. The first Roomba robotic vacuum cleaners, launched in the early 2000s, had a peculiar problem. Some owners reported that the robots, upon encountering pet waste, would spread it throughout the house before shutting down. This led the community to affectionately dub them painting robots, specializing in abstract art with organic materials, creating an epic and very expensive mess to clean up. Food packaging in tin cans was invented in the early 19th century by Peter Durand, a British inventor, as an innovative way to preserve food for the Royal Navy. However, the can opener was not invented until 48 years later in 1858 in the USA. During that period, the instructions on the can simply told consumers to use a chisel and hammer to open it. The character of Gollum in the Lord of the Rings trilogy pioneered the use of real-time motion capture for a high-profile character. Actor Andy Serkis had to wear a special suit and perform the scenes alongside the other actors, meaning the interaction and performance were genuine, even when Gollum was just a man in a tight-fitting suit. Minimalist composer John Cage is famous for his work 4 minutes and 33 seconds, in which the musicians play no instruments. The perceived silence is not the central point. The music is, in fact, the ambient sounds produced during that time, the audience's breathing, street noise, and so on, challenging the traditional definition of music. Rembrandt's famous painting, The Night Watch, is technically misnamed. The original title is The Company of the Civic Guard by Frans Banning Koch and Willem van Ruitenberg. The name became popular because the painting, covered with dirty varnish for years, appeared to depict a nighttime scene, but after restoration, it was revealed that the scene takes place in daylight. The name of the Android operating system was chosen as a tribute to the nickname of the company's co-founder, Andy Rubin. Rubin was known among his Apple colleagues as Android because of his passion for robotics and androids, demonstrating that technology names often have a personal origin. The Mixtec ball game is an ancient Mesoamerican sport still played in some regions of Mexico. It uses a natural rubber ball that weighs around 9 pounds that players strike with a rigid, heavy glove that can weigh up to 15 pounds, requiring enormous strength and stamina. During the bubonic plague in the Middle Ages, doctors often wore bird beak-shaped masks filled with aromatic herbs and strong spices, such as lavender or mint. The beak served to filter the bad smells, although the full suit actually offered some protection by covering the body. The so-called Great Boston Fire of 1872 was one of the greatest urban disasters in United States history. It destroyed 776 buildings and burned 65 acres of land in the city center. Most surprisingly, the fire is believed to have been caused by a horse knocking over a gas lamp in a barn. King George I of Great Britain, who began his reign in 1714, was the last British monarch born outside the United Kingdom. He was born in Hanover, Germany, and, interestingly, spoke little English. He communicated with his ministers in a mixture of Latin and French. His unfamiliarity with the British language and culture influenced his decision to delegate much of his power to his ministers, strengthening the role of the Prime Minister. The Chingue de Bemaraha stone forest in Madagascar is a nature reserve with a landscape of limestone karst needles, known as chingue, that rise hundreds of feet high. These sharp, eroded formations make exploration incredibly dangerous and have given rise to a unique ecosystem of animals that have evolved to live only in this inaccessible terrain. In the state of Oregon, United States, there is a law that states that you cannot whistle underwater. Although the law seems ridiculous, the simplest explanation is that it is physically impossible for a human to whistle underwater. The name of the Oreo cookie remains a mystery. Theories vary. Some say it comes from the Greek word for mountain, Oreo, due to its original shape, while others suggest it is a combination of the R's from cream and the O's from chocolate. The tradition of eating 12 grapes at midnight on New Year's Eve, one for each chime of the clock, became popular in Spain at the beginning of the 20th century. The most widely accepted story is that wine growers in Alicante devised this practice in 1909 to sell a surplus of grapes from the harvest, turning a market problem into a beloved national custom. Guitarist Eddie Van Halen popularized the two-handed tapping technique, where both hands play the guitar fretboard as heard in the song Eruption. He used to play this technique in concerts with his back to the audience because he feared other guitarists would copy him. Although he was not the inventor, he was the one who brought it into the rock mainstream. The human chess game is a traditional event in Marostica, Italy, held every 2 years in the town square. The inhabitants, dressed in medieval costumes, act as chess pieces, moving according to the orders of two chess players who direct the game from a balcony. The fuzz on a felt tennis ball is not just for aesthetics. This layer of wool and nylon material serves a fundamental aerodynamic purpose. The fuzz slows the ball down, making it playable, and also allows effects like topspin to have more influence on its trajectory, making tennis a game of high skill and not simply brute force. The Vikings used something called sunstone, possibly a type of calcite or Iceland spar for navigation. Even on cloudy days or when the sun was below the horizon, sunstone could depolarize the light, allowing sailors to determine the sun's position. The Phaistos disc, a unique archaeological artifact from the Minoan civilization of Crete, is a baked clay disc dating to around 1700 BC. It is covered in a spiral pattern with impressions of unknown symbols. It is the only known example of this type of ancient movable type, but the text has never been deciphered and its purpose remains a mystery. The City of Arts and Sciences in Valencia, Spain, is home to the tallest building in Europe. It is a futuristic architectural complex designed by Santiago Calatrava and Felix Candela. However, the architects had to deal with unexpected problems after construction, such as falling tiles, leaks, and even a design so bright and white that it reflected sunlight intensely, making it less practical than it seemed. The famous Sacher Torte from Vienna, Austria, was invented by a 16-year-old pastry apprentice named Franz Sacher in 1832. Prince Clemens von Metternich had commissioned his court chef to create a special dessert for his guests, but the chef fell ill. Young Sacher stepped in, and his creation became Vienna's most famous chocolate cake. The musical genre of reggaeton has deep roots dating back to the 1970s and 80s in Panama and Puerto Rico. Dembow, the unmistakable foundational rhythm of reggaeton, originated from the 1990 dancehall song Dembow by Shabba Ranks. This rhythm was sampled and transformed by Panamanian and Puerto Rican producers to create the rhythmic base of a new genre that would come to dominate Latin music. The French artist Claude Monet, the father of Impressionism, suffered from advanced cataracts in his later years, which significantly affected his perception of color. His last works, especially those painted after 1912, show a shift toward more red and brown tones as the lens of his eye, affected by cataracts, filtered out blue tones. Octopus underwater hockey is a sport played at the bottom of a swimming pool, invented by the British Royal Navy in the 1950s to keep its divers fit. Players use snorkels, fins, and a short stick to push or pass a heavy puck along the bottom of the pool into the opposing team's goal. The ancient Egyptians were so devoted to their cats that killing one, even accidentally, was a capital offense, punishable by death. When a family cat died, members of the household often shaved their eyebrows as a sign of mourning, a period that could last until their eyebrows grew back. The so-called Lost Army of Cambyses is a historical legend that recounts the disappearance of a 50,000-strong Persian army sent by King Cambyses II in 524 BC. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, the force was sent to the Siwa oasis in Egypt to destroy the Oracle of Amun, but a massive sandstorm engulfed them in the desert. During the Second World War, the United States military developed the bat bomb, a secret project to drop thousands of bats with small napalm incendiary bombs attached to them onto Japanese cities. Fortunately, it was never used in combat, making it one of the strangest and most unsuccessful war plans. Volcanoes can produce volcanic lightning or dirty thunderstorms during an eruption. This spectacular electrical phenomenon is generated by the friction of rock fragments, ash, and ice in the plume of smoke and ash. The separation of charges creates powerful static electricity that discharges in the form of lightning. There is a town in the state of Michigan, United States, called Hell, and the residents have embraced their name humorously. You can be mayor for a day for a small fee, and the town capitalizes on the name for tourist events. The origin of the name is uncertain, but the leading theory is that early settlers, upon exiting a hay wagon, said, "This is like hell." Hadrian's Wall in northern England was not built to keep the Scots out, but to mark and defend the northernmost frontier of the Roman Empire against the non-Romanized tribes of Caledonia, modern-day Scotland. The wall stretched for about 73 miles from coast to coast and took at least 6 years to construct. Buzkashi is the national sport of Afghanistan and is played on horseback. Players compete to carry the carcass of a decapitated and headless goat or calf to a scoring circle. It is known for being an extremely rough and often violent sport, which can involve hundreds of riders competing in a frenzy for possession of the meatball. There is a point in the South Atlantic Ocean known as the South Atlantic Anomaly. It is an area where the Van Allen radiation belt is unusually close to the Earth's surface. This results in more intense space radiation at low altitudes, and satellites, including the Hubble Space Telescope and the International Space Station, have to turn off their instruments or take special precautions when passing through this region to avoid damage. The Klerksdorp marbles are mysterious, spherical, and oval objects that have been extracted from 3-billion-year-old pyrophyllite deposits in South Africa. They have fine grooves around the center and are made of hard materials such as hematite and wollastonite. Although geologists consider them natural formations, some suggest they are prehistoric artifacts created by an extinct intelligence. The Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which destroyed much of the city and killed about 300 people, is legendarily attributed to Mrs. O'Lara's cow, which supposedly kicked a lantern in a barn. However, later research has cast serious doubt on this story, which was likely a convenient scapegoat. Male giraffes often perform an act known as fleeman to taste a female's urine and determine if she is ready to mate. The humor lies in the fact that, to do this, the male must extend his neck, smell the urine, and then dramatically curl his upper lip in an expression that makes it seem as if he has just smelled the most disgusting thing on the planet, even though it is a crucial step in courtship. Nutmeg is a common spice, but in large doses, generally more than about 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, it can act as a psychotropic drug, causing hallucinations, nausea, and a state of mental confusion that can last for several days. This effect is due to the presence of myristicin, a naturally occurring compound. In Japan, there is a phenomenon called hikikomori, which describes people, often young, who completely isolate themselves socially, remaining in their homes for months or even years. This extreme behavior of social seclusion is attributed to a combination of social pressure, fear of failure, and the fast pace of modern life. The storm scene in the film The Godfather, released in 1972, was achieved using practical effects rather than computer-generated imagery. Director Francis Ford Coppola wanted a visceral feeling of heavy rain, so the production team dumped thousands of gallons of water from large tanks onto the set. The song Happy Birthday to You was one of the most valuable and disputed copyrighted songs in history. It was originally written by 2 American sisters, Patty and Mildred Hill, in 1893, with the lyrics "Good Morning to All." The copyright was owned by Warner Chappell Music, which collected royalties for its public use until 2015. The famous Aunt Jemima flower figure underwent a major rebranding in 2021 due to its origins in racial stereotypes. The brand, which had existed since 1889, was criticized for relying on the stereotype of the subservient, slave-like mammy. Quaker Oats changed its name and logo to Pearl Milling Company to reflect modern social sensibilities. There is a type of cosmic object called a rogue planet or orphan planet that is not gravitationally bound to any star and wanders freely through the galaxy. These planets are believed to have been ejected from their original solar systems during gravitational interactions. The Pastry War was a military conflict in 1838 between Mexico and France. The conflict began when a French pastry chef in Mexico City, Ramontel, demanded compensation from his government for damages caused to his pastry shop during Mexican civil unrest. The popularity of the bright orange carrot dates back to the 17th century in the Netherlands. It is believed that Dutch farmers cultivated and popularized mutant varieties of carrots that were originally purple, yellow, or white to honor the House of Orange, the ruling dynasty. In much of Middle Eastern and Indian culture, it is considered very impolite to offer or receive anything with your left hand. The left hand is traditionally associated with personal hygiene, cleaning up after using the toilet, and is considered impure. In United States history, there was an unorthodox postal system known as kids' mail. In the early 20th century, because there were no strict weight restrictions, families even mailed their own children to visit their grandparents. While it may sound like a joke, this was legal. The children were sent with stamps attached to their clothing or small packages. During the First World War, the British Army used thousands of canaries in the trenches to detect the presence of poisonous gases such as carbon monoxide and chlorine. These birds were highly sensitive to the gases and would fall from their perches before the soldiers noticed the danger, acting as a biological alarm system. Sugar is not considered an additive in traditional German rye bread. Historically in Germany, the most common rye and whole wheat breads were made with natural yeast and no added sugars. So sugar is perceived as a way to speed up the process. The Ronald McDonald character was banned in parts of the United States and the United Kingdom in the 2010s. The main reason was that the use of clowns was deemed ethically inappropriate for marketing fast food to children, citing growing concerns about childhood obesity and the fear that clowns evoke in many people, a phobia known as coulrophobia. In Japan, there is a social tradition called giri. It refers to the social obligation not only to return a favor, but also to maintain respect for society and superiors. Giri can be so complex that it dictates how one should react to an embarrassing situation in public or the type of gift one should buy for a coworker based on their status. The ancient Egyptian pyramid builders were not slaves, as is often portrayed in popular culture and film. They were skilled, paid, and respected workers, demonstrating the social complexity of construction. Archaeological evidence suggests that they received medical care and were buried near the pyramids themselves, indicating a social status that contrasted sharply with the idea of forced labor. The sensation of goosebumps has a scientific name, piloerection, and is a vestigial reflex inherited from our hairy ancestors. Originally, this reflex caused body hair to stand on end, trapping a layer of insulating air to warm the body, or making the animal appear larger to frighten predators. There is an underwater waterfall, sometimes called an illusory waterfall, off the coast of Mauritius, which can be seen from space or in satellite images. This phenomenon is actually an optical effect created by deposits of sand and silt that run down the edge of the continental shelf into the ocean depths, making it appear as if the water is tumbling down. The city of Rome, Georgia, United States, has a statue of a wolf and its cubs, a replica of the famous Capitoline wolf statue in Rome, Italy. However, due to a translation error on the plaque, the statue was incorrectly named for years after Romulus and his brother Raymond instead of Remus, a historical blunder that amused the Italian community. In many ramen restaurants in Japan, it is a sign of appreciation and enjoyment of the dish to make a loud slurping sound while eating the noodles. The vigorous slurping is believed to cool the hot noodles and allow the diner to savor the aromas of the broth while eating. Although this custom may be jarring to Western visitors, it is a sign of courtesy. The first commercial hard disk drive was the IBM 305 RAMAC in 1956. It was enormous in size, similar to two large refrigerators. Its storage capacity was only 5 megabytes, or 5 megabytes. Despite its tiny capacity by today's standards, it was a monumental advance in digital storage, weighing over a ton. The Nazca lines in Peru, enormous geoglyphs etched into the desert floor, remain a mystery in terms of their exact purpose. The figures, which include monkeys, spiders, and hummingbirds, are so large that they can only be fully appreciated from an aerial perspective. Theories range from giant astronomical calendars to ritual pathways. Alcohol does not warm your body. In fact, it can do the opposite. The flushing you feel is caused by the dilation of blood vessels near the surface of your skin. This gives you a momentary sensation of warmth, but in reality, it is diverting heat from your core, which can be dangerous in cold weather. Muggle Quidditch, based on the sport in the Harry Potter series, has evolved into a real, competitive sport played in university leagues and international tournaments. Players must run with a broomstick between their legs at all times, despite not flying, and dodge bludgers, which are dodgeballs, while trying to score with the quaffle, which is a volleyball. The game even has a human snitch. During the reign of Henry VIII in England, a window tax was implemented based on the number of windows in a house. The more windows, the higher the tax. This law led many homeowners to brick up their existing windows to avoid paying taxes, resulting in decreased natural light and ventilation. On the border between Chile and Argentina lies Ojos del Salado, which is not only the world's highest active volcano at about 22600 feet, but also home to the world's highest crater lake at about 21000 feet above sea level. The presence of this crater lake in such an extreme environment where evaporation exceeds precipitation is a hydrological marvel. There is a bridge in Japan called Ishima Ohashi that is so steep it is often nicknamed the roller coaster of bridges. The bridge was designed with this extreme incline to allow large ships to pass underneath. In the Olympic Games, clay pigeon shooting used to involve live pigeons. This practice was banned after the 1900 Paris Olympics. The cruelty to the animals provoked public outrage, leading the sport to adopt clay targets tossed into the air, known as clay pigeons, which are used today. The city of Pechora, Russia, is the site of an unusual thermal anomaly or hotspot. In the middle of the frigid Siberian tundra, an area was discovered where the ground remains thawed during the winter, despite sub-zero temperatures, due to an anomalous underground geothermal heat source. This phenomenon creates a microclimate where plants unusual for the region grow, attracting animals and scientists alike. The candy known as cotton candy was invented by a dentist. Dr. William Morrison, along with a confectioner, invented a machine for making fairy thread in 1897. The goal was not necessarily dental health, but rather innovation in sugar processing. The famous Copley Medal of the Royal Society of London was awarded to Benjamin Franklin and James Cook. The medal, established in 1731, is the oldest scientific award in the world still given, recognizing outstanding achievements in research in any branch of science. In the mountainous region of Ayayumarca, located in Peru, stands an enigmatic formation carved directly into the rock, known as the Aramu Muru Gate. This impressive structure, resembling the entrance to a hidden world, leads nowhere visible, which has given rise to numerous stories and myths passed down by nearby communities. Yao Ming, a prominent basketball player from China, is known for his imposing height of 7 feet 8 inches. During the first decade of the 21st century, he's shown as a key figure in the NBA. His talent and size caught the attention of the Houston Rockets, who selected him first overall in the 2002 draft. In Pakistan's remote Hunza Valley lies the Hussaini Suspension Bridge, feared for its unstable structure. Suspended over the turbulent Unza River, it is made of separate planks and ropes that creak with every step. The wind constantly buffets it, increasing the difficulty of crossing. Even so, locals cross it daily as part of their routine. The tarsier is a tiny primate distinguished by its disproportionately large eyes, adapted for night vision. It inhabits the dense forests of Southeast Asia, where it leaps with precision among the branches to hunt insects and small animals. Its peculiar appearance and secretive habits have made it an emblem of the region's rich biodiversity. In the province of Tungurahua, Ecuador, lies the imposing waterfall known as Pilón del Diablo, Devil's Cauldron. With a drop of nearly 260 feet, its power and beauty captivate all who visit. The name comes from both its rocky shape, which evokes a boiling cauldron, and ancient tales of mystical entities that protect the area. Its jungle setting and the paths carved into the stone make it an unforgettable experience. At Jogesa Temple in Seoul stands an ancient ginkgo biloba, nicknamed the Jingo of Life. This tree has withstood the passage of 8 centuries, surviving wars and natural disasters. Its imposing presence has transformed it into an emblem of strength and permanence. Every autumn, its foliage turns a vibrant gold that captivates visitors. A prehistoric killer dolphin? Sort of. The Platypterygius was an ichthyosaur, a marine reptile with a fish-like shape that lived in the Cretaceous oceans. But unlike modern dolphins, this one did not smile at you. It devoured you in one bite. It had a long snout full of razor-sharp conical teeth, enormous eyes adapted for seeing in dark waters, and a speed that made it the perfect predator. In 2012, in the state of Minnesota, a colossal hamburger was cooked that broke all records. This monstrous creation weighed over 2,000 pounds and was more than 10 feet wide. Although it was made for publicity purposes, it did not end up as a simple display. The organizers decided to distribute pieces among those present to avoid waste. Giraffes present a curious exception within the animal kingdom. They do not yawn. This behavior, common in many mammals, is absent in them for reasons still debated. It is suspected that their unique physiology, especially their long neck and efficient circulation, reduces the need for extra oxygen to the brain. Therefore, yawning might not be necessary for them. Butterflies require ambient heat to be able to unfurl their wings. As cold-blooded creatures, their mobility depends entirely on the temperature of their surroundings. When the temperature drops below a certain threshold, their muscles become inactive and they remain still. Only when they receive enough warmth can they take flight. In the coastal town of Murudeshwar, India, stands an impressive sculpture dedicated to Lord Shiva, one of the most revered figures in Hinduism. This majestic statue reaches a height of nearly 120 feet and is located right next to the Murudeshwar temple, overlooking the Arabian Sea. Can you imagine a wombat the size of a pickup truck? Well, there was one. The Diprotodon was the largest marsupial that ever existed. It lived in Australia about 40,000 years ago and was basically a cross between a teddy bear and a rhinoceros, but with the face of a sloth. It measured up to 13 feet long and weighed almost 6,600 pounds. It had giant teeth adapted for chewing tough grasses and roots. Native to Australia, the peacock spider is a tiny jumping arachnid known for its vibrant abdomen and sophisticated courtship rituals. To win over a female, the male proudly displays his striking colors while performing a detailed dance, synchronizing precise leg movements. This visual spectacle is key to attracting a mate and is a fascinating example of animal behavior in nature. In Montmartre, Paris, there is a unique work of art dedicated to celebrating love, the I Love You wall. This wall is adorned with the expression I love you in more than 250 different languages, symbolizing the diversity and global reach of this sentiment. Conceived by artists Frederic Baron and Claire Quito, this creation has become a special place where couples and visitors from all over the world gather to honor love in all its forms. In Jamaica, ackee is an iconic fruit that, when combined with salted fish, forms the island's most representative dish. This fruit, prized for its delicate and nutritious flavor, should only be consumed when ripe, as in its green state it contains toxic compounds that can be dangerous. Once ripe, its creamy and smooth texture makes it a fundamental ingredient in the local cuisine. In 2012, Italy achieved a culinary milestone by preparing the largest pizza ever recorded. covering an impressive area of about 13600 square feet. This gastronomic masterpiece was named Ottavia, in homage to the Roman empress who symbolized peace and stability in her time. There are beaches where the sand has a pinkish hue, a visually striking phenomenon. This particular coloration is due to the presence of microscopic marine organisms called foraminifera. When these organisms die, their reddish shells disintegrate and mix with the white sand, creating that pinkish tint. The result is a unique coastal landscape that combines natural beauty and biological processes. In Copenhagen, Denmark, stands an unconventional power plant known as Copenhill. What makes it truly unique is that a ski slope operates on its roof, accessible year-round. This plant is not nuclear, but rather a state-of-the-art facility that transforms waste into usable energy for thousands of homes. In the German town of Wuppertal, there is a structure that does not go unnoticed, the famous Lego Bridge. This striking pedestrian bridge was artistically transformed to appear as if it were built with giant Lego bricks, although it is actually made of concrete. Its colorful design turns an ordinary piece of infrastructure into a work of urban art that fascinates locals and tourists alike. In 2021, Aaron James, a 46-year-old man, survived a 700-volt electric shock that caused severe facial injuries. Following this traumatic experience, Aaron shared that the medical care he received allowed him to regain his sense of smell and the ability to eat properly. These advances have meant a radical transformation in his daily life and overall well-being. His story is an inspiring example of overcoming adversity. The prestigious Tibaldi company created the Fulgor Nocturnus, an extremely valuable fountain pen that ranks among the most exclusive and expensive worldwide. This writing instrument represents extreme luxury and fine craftsmanship, serving as a status symbol for its owners. Its high price places it in a privileged position within the market for elite writing instruments. In South Korean culture, miyeokguk, a soup made with seaweed, is a traditional food essential during birthday celebrations. This custom has its roots in the practice of women consuming this dish after giving birth to recover physically. Thus, eating this soup on birthdays symbolizes a tribute to mothers and the continuity of life. This is the animal that looks like it was designed by a mad mechanic, the Helicoprion, a prehistoric shark that lived more than 250 million years ago, famous for having a spiral of teeth like a coiled chainsaw inside its mouth. For decades, scientists did not know where that toothy spiral went. Was it a fin, a horn, a decorative feature? Elephants give the impression of walking on their toes due to a peculiarity in their anatomy. They do not have heels like other animals. Instead, they stand on the front of their feet. The back of their feet is composed mainly of a thick layer of fatty tissue. This structure acts as a kind of cushion that absorbs their weight. It is a perfect adaptation for supporting their enormous bodies quietly and steadily. Byron Schlenker holds the world record for the largest tongue circumference ever recorded. His tongue measures a staggering 6.3 inches, a truly astonishing figure. With this measurement, he surpassed the previous record of 5.8 inches, set by Sasha Feiner. This curious record has garnered attention for its rarity and peculiarity. Although the United States is one of the most prominent Olympic powers, there are 4 disciplines in which it has yet to win a medal. These sports are handball, badminton, trampoline, and table tennis. Despite its dominance in multiple disciplines, these remain its outstanding challenges. On the outskirts of Copenhagen, Denmark, lie the unique circular houses of Brøndby, known for their original urban design and focus on community living. These houses are arranged in concentric rings around shared gardens, fostering interaction among neighbors and a collaborative lifestyle. In Japan, there are automatic dispensers capable of preparing and delivering a hot pizza in just 5 minutes. This innovative system offers the product in specially designed packaging, which includes a bag for easy transport. The package also includes a tool for cutting the pizza instantly. Victoria d'Auberville, the French dancer who conquered Antarctica, went viral after performing a dance on the bow of a ship, while photographer Matthew Forget captured the moment. Her elegance and skill contrasted perfectly with the icy landscape, creating an image that many believe to be the work of artificial intelligence. Digga is no ordinary cat. She jumps on a skateboard, does tricks like a dog, and even holds Guinness World Records for her agility. This Australian feline moves with more style than many humans and has conquered the internet with her talent. A true furry star who does parkour with feline elegance. Jim Carrey was a top choice on the list of possible actors to play Jack Sparrow in the famous Pirates of the Caribbean series. However, he had to decline the offer because it coincided with the filming period for the movie Bruce Almighty in 2003. This scheduling conflict prevented him from taking the role. Thus, the actor was unable to be part of this iconic production. In Japan, they developed toilets with completely transparent walls, a concept that at first glance may seem surprising or even strange. The innovation lies in the fact that these toilets allow people to check if they are available before using them, thus facilitating their use. They are made with a high-tech glass that, when activated, becomes opaque to guarantee the privacy of the person inside. The drinkable book represents a revolutionary alternative for populations that lack clean and safe water. This curious book acts as an effective filter, capable of transforming dirty water into potable water suitable for human consumption. Each of its pages is impregnated with silver and copper nanoparticles, substances that destroy bacteria and other harmful microorganisms. Shinra is an innovative Japanese artist famous for his paper illustrations that come to life. Using unique techniques, he transforms 2D images into dynamic creations that seem to have a life of their own. His art is distinguished by incredible precision and creativity, fusing technical skill with a striking visual style. During a public talk, Miley Cyrus revealed that she would like to erase the existence of Wrecking Ball forever, because she fears that people will inevitably associate her with the image of the Wrecking Ball. The artist confessed that her biggest fear would be that the song would be played at her funeral, as she feels the music video will become a constant shadow over her life. In 2022, James Hong achieved an unprecedented milestone by becoming the oldest person to be honored with a star on the famous Hollywood Walk of Fame at 93 years old. Royal Caribbean's Ultimate World Cruise holds the record for being the longest-running ocean expedition in the world. This incredible adventure takes place aboard the Serenade of the Seas and spans a total of 274 consecutive nights. During this long voyage, passengers visit more than 150 different locations across 65 nations on all 7 continents. Victor Hugo Peralta and his wife Gabriela Rios have held the Guinness World Record since 2012 as the married couple with the most body modifications, reaching a total of 77 procedures at that time. Over time, this number has continued to increase, reflecting their commitment to this form of body art. Their modifications include eyeball tattoos, piercings, subcutaneous implants, and a split tongue. In the Bronx, New York, there are steps that gained international fame after appearing in an iconic sequence from the film Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. In that scene, the main character descends dancing with a defiant attitude, making the location a landmark for film fans. In 2016, while participating in a demanding ultramarathon across the arid Gobi Desert in Mongolia, athlete Dion Leonard experienced an unexpected moment. A tiny stray dog began running alongside him and faithfully accompanied him for over 100 miles without straying. This spontaneous bond captured the public's attention and became a heartwarming story. Amano Hashide, in Japan, offers a spectacular coastal landscape with a narrow strip of land covered in pine trees that connects the Sea of Japan to Aso Bay. This curious natural formation, known as the Sky Walkway, stands out for its unique and serene beauty. It is recognized as one of the 3 most breathtaking scenic spots in the country. Silajka Ertsabet, a talented Hungarian artist, creates stunning sculptures using stones. Her skill in combining pebbles of different sizes and colors allows her to form dynamic and vibrant scenes without altering the natural structure of the stones. Through meticulous arrangement and cleaning of the rocks, Erzsébet manages to create works of art that respect the natural essence of the materials. The butterfly, known as the 88, native to Central and South America, is distinguished by the unique 88-shaped markings on its hindwings. These markings not only give it its name, but also serve as effective camouflage. When the butterfly rests on tree trunks or the forest floor, these visual cues help it blend in. Near Falkirk, Scotland, stand the Kelpies, two gigantic horse-head sculptures reaching about 98 feet in height. These monumental works are based on Scottish legends of Kelpies, water creatures capable of transforming into horses. Their imposing size and detailed design make them a breathtaking visual spectacle. They represent the connection between culture, mythology, and modern engineering. In Goulburn, Australia, stands a massive statue of a ram known as the Big Merino, though locals call it Rambo. This imposing figure stands about 49 feet tall and celebrates the importance of the wool industry in the country. Visitors can climb to the level of the ram's eyes to enjoy panoramic views of the city. More than just a sculpture, it is a cultural and tourist symbol. In the Indian town of Abaneri lies Chand Baori, an ancient stepwell renowned for its depth and age. With approximately 3,500 steps descending 13 levels to the underground water table, it is one of the most impressive in the world. Built in the 9th century, its primary function was to store water in a hot, dry climate. The harpy eagle, one of the most imposing birds of prey, inhabits the dense rainforests of Central and South America. Its talons, even larger than those of a brown bear, allow it to capture prey such as monkeys and sloths with great dexterity. Despite its large size, it moves with surprising agility among the trees. Kabosu, an adorable Shiba Inu from Japan, achieved worldwide fame as the image behind the popular Doge meme and the Dogecoin cryptocurrency. In 2008, Atsuko Sato adopted her after rescuing her from a shelter. A photograph of Kabosu with a unique expression, posted in 2010, went viral and became an internet icon. Sadly, Kabosu passed away on May 24, 2024, at the age of 18, after battling leukemia and liver problems. In Malaysia, the Langkawi Sky Bridge is a curved pedestrian bridge that spans about 410 feet over a precipice, suspended about 2,300 feet above sea level on Mount Machinchang. From this walkway, visitors can admire breathtaking panoramic views of the Langkawi Islands and the lush rainforest that surrounds them. A cable car ascends the mountain to reach the bridge, adding an exciting element to the journey. Shigeru Miyamoto, the designer behind The Legend of Zelda, chose the name Zelda for the game's princess as a tribute to the American writer Zelda Fitzgerald. This choice reflected his admiration for the iconic literary figure and her cultural influence. Thus, the character acquired a name steeped in history and meaning beyond the world of video games. The world's longest foosball table measures about 500 feet. This incredible record was achieved by Der Bremer and KP Agency, both from Turkey, in Istanbul on September 23, 2023. The monumental table broke the previous record and became a true milestone in the world of table sports. Evergreen Marine Corporation, established in 1968 in Taiwan, has established itself as one of the world's largest shipping companies. Its iconic green vessels, giant container ships, are easily recognizable on the oceans. The company innovated by implementing direct routes between East Asia and the Americas, significantly shortening transit times. George, an exceptionally enormous Great Dane, was recognized as the tallest dog ever recorded. He stood nearly 7 feet tall and weighed over 245 pounds. Despite his gigantic size, he had a sweet and affectionate nature. His height allowed him to reach places other dogs could never reach. If we travel even further back, we find a relic of the Roman Empire that still stands, the Appian Way. Built in 312 BC, it was one of the most advanced roads of its time and was known as the Queen of Roads. It connected Rome with the city of Brindisi and allowed the military and commercial expansion of the empire. The amazing thing is that today, you can still walk on its original stones as if you were traveling back in time. Another useful fact is that chocolate can be deadly for dogs due to theobromine and caffeine. These substances, although safe for humans, are metabolized very slowly in dogs, building up in their bodies and causing neurological or cardiac damage. Dark chocolate is especially dangerous because it contains higher levels of theobromine. A small piece can be enough to put their health at risk. The Karakoram Highway was built between China and Pakistan over more than 20 years, crossing glaciers, seismic zones, and unprotected cliffs, earning it the reputation of the eighth wonder of the world. At over 15420 feet above sea level, it remains dangerous due to avalanches and falls. Thousands of workers took part in its construction, and it is estimated that more than 1,000 died in landslides, explosions, and snowstorms that made normal progress impossible. In Chiapas, there is a town called Chamula, where Coca-Cola is so much a part of daily life that it is more important than water in many homes. Its inhabitants consume more than 210 gallons per person per year, and the beverage is used in religious rituals led by local shamans. During the ceremonies, Coca-Cola is drunk to cleanse the spirit and expel bad energies, something that replaced wine or holy water in certain traditional rituals. In Las Vegas, the Circus Hotel has gained notoriety as one of the city's most unsettling places, despite its cheerful, family-friendly circus theme. Since its opening in 1968, it has accumulated stories of crimes, suicides, and alleged hauntings that have added to its dark legend. Visitors have claimed to hear voices, see shadows, and feel oppressive atmospheres in some rooms where paranormal activity is said to be constant. Surprisingly, its prices are much lower than other hotels on the Strip, which fuels the idea that something sinister lurks there. Frankie Muniz, star of Malcolm in the Middle, left acting just as his career seemed to be taking off. After years of television success, he decided to leave Hollywood and dedicate himself entirely to professional motorsports, his true passion since childhood. Today, Frankie Muniz competes as a driver, training on real racetracks far from the cameras and the celebrity lifestyle he enjoyed during his childhood and adolescence. In Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, the workday begins around 10 in the morning and usually ends around 4 in the afternoon, a rhythm that fosters tranquility and quality of life. The city prohibits skyscrapers and restores old buildings to preserve its heritage. Stitch, Disney's famous experiment 626, was designed inspired by the eye, a lemur from Madagascar with large ears, round eyes, and a small body that strikingly resembles the animated character. This nocturnal creature has always fascinated people with its unusual and strange appearance. On cruise ships, the word "Bravo" announced over the loudspeaker means there is a fire on board, even though it sounds like simple applause. The code Alpha refers to a medical emergency, while Oscar alerts that someone has fallen overboard. PVI indicates that a passenger has vomited in a public area. These codes exist to prevent panic among travelers and allow the crew to act quickly in delicate situations. Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for Best Actor in 1992 for his portrayal of Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, despite appearing on screen for only 25 minutes. His gaze, his voice, and his intense presence were enough to create the most memorable villain in modern cinema. In Japan, McDonald's created an exclusive Nintendo DSi console to train its employees through a program called the E-Crew Development Program. The software taught them how to prepare hamburgers, use the cash register, and follow protocols as if it were a real interactive video game. These consoles were never released to the public and are now so rare that they fetch prices exceeding $1,000 among collectors. Bailey, a mini sheepadoodle, went viral thanks to his almost perfect resemblance to Snoopy, the iconic dog from Peanuts. His white fur with black ears and his sweet expression led thousands of users to say he looked like a real-life version of the character created by Charles M. Schulz. Sadio Mane, the Senegalese football star, invested a large part of his fortune in improving his hometown of Bambali, building a hospital, a school, a post office, and a gas station. Thanks to these projects, thousands of people gained access to services that were previously unavailable there. In Japan, there are Bohan Yokuraboru balls, orange spheres filled with bright paint that are thrown at fleeing criminals to mark them. The paint remains on their clothing and skin for several days, making them easier to locate. The most dangerous tree in the world is the manchineel tree, found in parts of the Caribbean and Central America. Its sap causes severe burns, and even raindrops falling on its leaves can cause blisters on the skin. Even its fruit, similar to an apple, can be deadly. There was once a pig that resembled a sheep due to its curly, woolly coat. It was called the Mangalika pig and originated in Hungary. Its blonde, black, or reddish coat protected it from the coldest winters of Central Europe, making it a very hardy breed. In the mid-20th century, it was nearly extinct, displaced by more commercially viable breeds that brought it to the brink of disappearing. A group of Hungarian farmers rescued it, and thanks to their efforts, the breed survived, and its meat eventually became a luxury delicacy prized on exclusive menus. In 2015, Microsoft built the world's quietest room in Redmond, Washington, an anechoic chamber capable of absorbing 100% of ambient sound. With wedge-shaped panels, concrete and steel, it achieved a Guinness World Record with a level of -20.3 decibels, allowing one to hear the movement of bones, blood, and even the digestive system. Most people cannot stand to stay there for more than a few minutes because the brain goes into overdrive due to the complete lack of stimuli. Its construction cost over $500,000, and today it serves to test devices that require extreme acoustic precision. In Spain, there is a castle that directly inspired Walt Disney when creating the Queen's Castle in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, one of the most iconic films in history. It is the Alcázar of Segovia, located in the city of Segovia, an hour from Madrid, and famous for its ship-like shape and pointed towers. This imposing medieval architecture gave Disney the perfect visual reference to convey fantasy, magic, and elegance in his animated tale. It is currently open to the public, and each room is steeped in history, making it one of the most visited castles in the country. An engineer named Danny Manu created a headset called Mayu Click, capable of translating up to 37 languages in real time without an internet connection. This invention revolutionized communication during travel, international meetings, or situations where understanding another language was a challenge. The goal has always been to break down language barriers and allow people from different cultures to connect without relying on external applications. Oymyakon in Siberia is known as the coldest inhabited village in the world because its temperatures have reached as low as -94 degrees Fahrenheit. In this place, cars are never turned off because the engines would freeze, cell phones die in seconds, and even pen ink solidifies instantly. Despite this extreme climate, around 500 people live there, completely adapted to the permanent ice, with insulated houses and a diet rich in fat. In 2020, Oreo built a top-secret vault in Svalbard, Norway, very close to the global seed vault, to protect its recipe in case of a global catastrophe. The structure was designed to withstand earthquakes, explosions, and even apocalyptic scenarios, turning the project into an international viral phenomenon. Inside the vault were vacuum-sealed packages and a digitized copy of the original recipe, like a culinary treasure for the future. Although it began as a creative campaign, the vault actually exists and has become part of pop culture. After her divorce, Joanne Ussery decided to radically change her life by buying an old Boeing 727 for just $2,000 to convert it into her home. She invested around $30,000 more to install a kitchen, bathroom, living room, bedrooms, and even a bathtub inside the overhead compartment. The plane was parked facing a lake, and the cockpit became her reading room with a spectacular view. Her story became an example of personal reinvention, showing that with creativity, even an abandoned airplane can be turned into a welcoming home. In Abu Dhabi, you will find Ferrari World, and that is all for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Zarpado English for more amazing facts.